Hi, I'm Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. I'm excited today to show you guys a recipe for a grits casserole. It's kind of a different take on a breakfast casserole, being that it involves grits. This recipe came to me from a fabulous cookbook called Glorious Grits, and we're going to start with boiling a little bit of milk. We're going to have that on our burner here, and we're going to add a little bit of salt to that. It'll take a couple of minutes to come to a boil, and then we'll be whisking in our grits and our butter. All right, so our milk and our salt has started coming to a boil. We're going to whisk in our grits and our butter. It's going to start thickening, and it won't take very long. Your recipe I think says about 20 minutes. I personally don't think it takes quite that long. Once it comes to a full boil, you want to go ahead and turn your heat down a little bit and let it simmer. So it's coming to a full boil. I'm going to go ahead and drop the heat back a little bit. I like to kind of do a continuous whisk just so it doesn't stick to the bottom. And you can also tell how thick it's getting by doing that continuous whisk. Stop for a moment, let it come back. I believe the recipe calls for white grits. I happen to have yellow grits here. I don't think either one of them make a difference, to be quite honest. I will say that I'm kind of partial to the yellow ones just because that's how I was raised. But I think as far as taste goes, it's really up to you. Dropping the heat back just a little bit more because it's starting to really thicken and bubble. You really don't want this to get on your skin because it's like hot glue. All right, I'm actually going to turn the heat off because we're starting to splatter quite a bit. While that's kind of sitting for a moment, I'm going to come over here. We're going to whisk one egg. When we add the egg, you want to slowly add the egg because you don't want it to scramble. You could even take a moment to go ahead and let that cool. But I think before we add the egg, we'll go ahead and add the remaining half a cup of milk. I cut the recipe down for camera purposes. Your recipe will tell you quite a bit more milk. Adding the milk there helps it cool a little bit. And I'm going to come in with that egg that I beat ever so slightly. Going to add it very gradually, however, because I don't want those eggs to scramble or that egg to scramble. And we're going to add a little bit of dried herbs. Really your choice. Fresh herbs are better, but you know, here in the colder months we want dried. We're going to do about 3/4 of a teaspoon. Actually, I think I'm going to go stick with about a 1/2 of a teaspoon. And then we'll add our cheese. You don't want to add it all because you want to save some for topping at the end. Whisk the cheese in, and it's nice and thick, or thicker anyway. We're going to pour it into a greased casserole dish, pop it in the oven for about 45 minutes. When it comes out, we're going to top it with some crumbled bacon that I've already cooked, and it'll be ready for serving. So here we go into a casserole dish. All right, go ahead and top that with a little extra cheese. And we're going to go into the oven for about 45 minutes. While it's still hot, we're going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of extra cheese on the top. And let's hit it with some crunchy bacon that I cooked earlier. And if you really wanted to, you could put it back in the oven for about 5 minutes or so to help further melt that cheese, but I don't think you really need to. And we're going to let that cool before we dig into it. Earlier we talked about the herbs that I stirred in, and this is a combination of thyme and of sage. Really any dried herb you'd like to use. Anytime you do use a dried herb, you want to use half as much as you do the fresh because it is concentrated, and we had stirred those in there at the beginning. And there you have it, a grits casserole. I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from the Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.